With business, it's kind of like choose your own adventure, you make what you give, and it's scary not knowing what comes from that.
It's incredible because there are so many options for how you want to live your life. And if you want to do it outside the norm, it's becoming more and more normal.
I've been blessed with the skill of efficiency, but then I also feel like no matter how much I'm working, it feels like I still need to be doing more.
One thing I found with trying is it comes with a lot of benefits, but sometimes trying comes with extra emotion because you're actually really putting an effort and your heart into something.
There's like the famous saying, does money make you happy? And you can be the best businessman in the world and you could not be in tune with your emotional intelligence, and that will break you.
Welcome to the Millionaire University podcast. My name is Tara Williams. I have brought on someone very special today. And before I tell you who she is, she's a girl. There's a clue right there. I have known this person. I mean, I was the first person to ever know you. I've known her for almost over 18 years. Yeah. Do the math real quick. She has puked on me, yelled at me, probably pooped on me.
Okay, this is not a good intro for me.
She is incredible. She's one of my core people in my whole world. Like, you build a world and there are certain people in your life where you want them there forever and they're precious to you. And so without further ado, I would like to introduce my daughter, Britlyn Williams. Welcome, Brit.
Insert the crowd cheering.
Like, who is this person who's pooped on you?
Who?
See, I'm the first one to know you because she's 17. She'll be 18 soon. But, I knew you before you were even born. So.
I was like, do you know my age? I'm a man and I'm not. I'm not my right age.
Mom does not know me. Now, the reason we brought Brit on is because she's 17 years old. She's doing teenagehood a little differently, a little outside the box. And one thing about being an entrepreneur is a lot of times you do things outside of the typical norm. And Justin and I, we started doing our entrepreneurship journey when we were mid-20s. I'd graduated college. Justin was still in college. Britt is starting a little earlier. And so we kind of want to talk about that. How's that working? What are you doing differently? How's that setting you up for the future? I know a lot of parents, as we've kind of grown as entrepreneurs, there are a lot of adults who are now having children and they want their kids to kind of skip out on some of the mistakes, get a little ahead, have a little more money, not be so driven by money fear or poverty. And they really want their kids to be ahead. And so we kind of want to share some things Britlyn's doing. Now, it's just simple stuff. It's not like anything crazy that we're doing. It fits her personality. We've tested out some different things. They've worked, they haven't worked. And these are just ideas. It's not necessarily you have to do this, but we just want to show you in this world, it's incredible because there are so many options for how you want to live your life. And if you want to do it outside the norm, it's becoming more and more normal to live on that fringe and the good things that come from that. So Britt, give us a little snapshot of where you are today. What are you doing? What does your life look like?
Well, for a little background, I graduated high school early at 16. I got my HiSET, which is the California version equivalency of a GED. And so ever since then, for the past 2 years, 1.5 years?
Math has never been her strong suit.
Math is not much. We will learn a lot of my weaknesses today. That's also what you guys will be learning from. But however long it's been, I'm
just kidding. Tracking time is always tricky. Like, how long has it been?
Yeah,
It's been a while.
It's been a while, but I now work 2 jobs plus some side hobbies. So I work at Nectar. I am the manager at Nectar.
17, baby.
Yeah. I nanny, and I've been with the same nanny family for, is it like a little bit more than 1.5 years. I started when the first kid was 5 months, and now she's 2 years old, and there's another baby too. And I love them. They're like my second family.
She does.
Shout
She's really
out.
good with kids.
That's awesome. It can be hard sometimes, but it's really a good mental learning experience.
I mean, if you want to be a mother, it's like such a beautiful thing. You're with these kids, you're learning, you're developing. I mean, it's such a huge advantage to have children when you've already spent a lot of time with them. So.
Yeah, I've learned a lot. Sometimes it's funny, like me and the mom will make jokes about how like we're learning together and it's funny, but she obviously knows a lot more than I do. But yeah, so those consume most of my time. And then I flip couches on the side. I've resold quite a few things, but couches are kind of the things that stuck. Every once in a while I still get like buys from clothes and reselling clothes. And then and now I'm doing podcast interviews.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun. I go to the gym. I try my best to go 5 times a week. So that takes a lot of my time. But that's like my treat at the end of the day. So that's a fun thing. And then I have church meetings every week morning, and every Wednesday we have activities, and every Sunday we have church.
Sometimes other ones between. You got seminary Monday through Thursday every early morning.
That I have to leave at like 6:30. So
she's the president of her group, which is ages 15 to 18, basically. Mm-hmm. So you got a lot going on. So basically, this is Brit in a nutshell today. She graduated at the end of her sophomore year. That was after we had been traveling around the world for 9 months. And so she did some of that, came home and just hit it hard. You've done some online schooling while we were traveling. She graduated early. So in California, it's really cool. And I think it's in other states. They have this test called the high set, where at the end or even the second semester of your 10th grade year, sophomore year, you can graduate early and get the equivalency of a diploma, which we thought was pretty cool. So we had Brogan do it. He graduated a year early. Britt did it 2 years early. Our son, Kaysen, has his first math test on Monday. You do 3 parts in California, math, reading, writing, and you can graduate early, which allows you to have a diploma, and then you can either start college, work, whatever it is that you want to do. So Britt has decided to go the entrepreneur route. She graduated early. She has 2 jobs. She nannies and she works at Nectar. She loves the gym. She loves her people. She does couches on the side. I have 3 of her couches in my living room right now.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That she's selling. She's done some clothes. She's done all kinds of different things. And her desire is to be an entrepreneur. So that's kind of what she's doing. That's what she's doing right now. So let's get into this a little bit more. When did you first realize that you wanted to kind of go a different path?
I don't think there was a distinct moment, but I think it was always just kind of since I was young. I mean, I played soccer growing up, and I remember I loved my games. I loved running and feeling like I was like accomplishing something. And I loved soccer so much, but I hated going to my practices because I would just go and someone would tell me what to do for an hour. And it was literally torture for me. And don't get me wrong.
Daughter.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I know practices are super important. That's not what you should be getting out of this. But just from a young age, I've never liked other people telling me what to do. To a degree, I like learning now. I'm a little bit more humble now as I've grown. I was a little sassy diva growing up.
We're a sassy diva. She still has some of that sassy diva.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But there's wisdom in there and kindness and a lot of empathy. But it used to be like when she was little, I would go up into her room and she'd be like, "Mom, come play Barbies with me," or whatever toy it was. And I'd be like, "Oh man, crap." Because I would go play with her and she had so many rules to how we played that I would get in trouble the whole time. And I'd be like, "Okay, here I am. I'm coming over to Mom. That's not how you do it." I'd be like, "Okay, I think I'm done with this." So she came with some fire, some sass. And in fact, when she was little, she didn't learn to crawl. She actually would sit on her bum and she'd use her legs to scoot around the floor. You have to see it. So she'd move one leg and the other. It was like this little scooty thing. And people would be amazed. Everywhere we went, we'd be sitting at church or at a movie or something. I'd put her down and she'd be like, "Scoot, scoot, scoot," with her little bum. It's so intelligent because she'd have her hands open. So she'd scoot around the house and she'd be grabbing things with her hands and putting her hands up to me like, "Mom, pick me up, Mom, do this." So ever since she's been little, she's always been one that's like, someone's doing something, I want to do it. And don't tell me I can't, and I'm going to go for it. And I love that about her. So she sees people doing things and she's like, "I'm going to do that." The only hard part about that is that when she starts something, she thinks she should be good at it instantly. So that's something that she's had to learn.
I hate being bad at things.
She doesn't enjoy that.
It's weird. I like failing. Like if it's something I'm good at, I'm okay with it. But if it's like complete failure, there's no success, I'm just like, what am I even doing?
Yeah,
I know that's normal, but
I'm out. So she's had to work through that, how to have the patience of, okay, it takes learning. There's a lot of failure at the beginning. And as an entrepreneur, there is definitely that learning curve of like, I don't know what I'm doing. How does this work? Yeah. Especially at a young age. Okay. So you realize at a young age, you didn't really like to be told what to do. You wanted to have a little more freedom.
Yeah.
Have your parents' situation, has that affected you by it anyway?
I mean, yes, but also not like 100% fully. But I do think having the knowledge of knowing that there are other options has been something that was super strong, because I think naturally I'm going to gain a lot of the traits that my parents have. And so something that works for you guys a lot of the time likely can work for me, not always, and you can do things differently. But I feel like I've learned that there are other options than just the typical go to college, get a 9 to 5, and I think having support is really important, because a lot of people, you can tell your parents, I don't want to go to college, I don't want to do this, and they kind of freak out and they'd try to convince you to do otherwise. And so I think having parents who support that and also teach it, and like I've learned so much just growing up, it's been something that I've realized that I think could work for me. And so I think that was super, what's the word?
Impactful, amazing, wonderful.
This is our daily struggle, is I burn myself out too much to where I can't even speak and my vocab isn't very.
She lost her words. So it had an effect, obviously, because a lot of seeds have been planted. There are a lot of things that you've heard over the years. You've seen Dad and I work. You've seen all the conversations that we have. You've seen the lifestyle that comes from it. We've had a lot of good things happen in our life because of it. And you've also seen some of the hard things. Mm-hmm. I mean, Britt recently made an investment with us of $5,000 of her dollars. And that investment, it hasn't worked out. The person who is supposed to be paying us is not going to be paying us. It's a whole story, juicy story. And she's going to get that money back because, she's got parents who will hook her up as she's learning. But there are ups and downs. There are curveballs that come. And there's a lot of unknown, a lot of things that I don't know how to do this. How does this work? It's scary because you're hopping out of school, age 15, 16, and all of a sudden taking on these big things. Like you just recently did 2 interviews for Millionaire University. You're like the 17-year-old hopping on, asking these people who are running these successful companies, how does it work? How do you do it? Let's have a conversation. So this type of a lifestyle works for Britt because she's a go-getter. She's organized. She's really good at communication. She writes lists. So she already has some of these attributes and abilities at a young age, which is why she's going this different path. Now, if she needed a little more time to grow and develop, we'd probably have her go through college and kind of develop some of that because there's a lot of good that can be learned. But if she's ready to go, then we can save a ton of money, a ton of time, and she can get out there. And so she's focused more on being out in the job force, out in that world, so that she can learn skills from having a job and then continue to, as she does things on the side entrepreneurially, continue to take those skills and move them over until at some point she'll be fully over there. So what have jobs taught you that school has not?
That's a great question. I think that jobs have taught me a lot more about real life. I mean, from school, it feels like a lot of the time you learn a lot of great things from school, don't get me wrong, but a lot of the time you learn very specific things about certain subjects, and it totally makes sense to learn those things if that's what you want to do with your future. But I kind of felt like a lot of the time I was wasting time in class, and in real life I'm able to learn more things specific to what I want to learn, and I can spend my time to things that are more universal. Like I'm learning just at work how to deal with people so much, with people being upset and people asking questions, and learning how to communicate with people.
Okay. So we're sitting here right now and we're talking to Britt, and she said, hold on, I need to take a second. I'm feeling off today. I'm feeling a little mumbly jumbly. Like my words aren't coming out. Like what's going on? She's here with her mom, so she can't really pretend. Like I know a lot about Britt. What are you feeling right now?
I'm literally about to cry. I need to not. Why am I doing this?
What are you feeling?
I don't even know why.
Tell us what it's like to be a 17-year-old these days with the pressure of figuring out your career and moving out soon. And what's it like?
Overwhelming.
How is it? What pressure do you feel on a daily basis?
I'm sorry. I don't know why this is happening to me.
Just go with it. One thing I've noticed about you over the years is, in a way, you've been shocked at how the world functions and you get frustrated with it. Like she's a beautiful songwriter, actually, and she's written songs about kind of the putting her heart out there with friends and people in relationships, and then people not reciprocating that, reciprocating your hopes and your dreams, your desires, like your ideas, and that kind of shocking your whole system. Accurate?
Yes.
accurate. So as we sit here in this podcast right now, and she's talking about being an entrepreneur, she's trying to figure out like, who am I? How does this work? How do I represent myself in a way that's authentic, but also in a way that won't necessarily be extra? Because Brit is extra, like in the best way. Like she has good energy, big energy, and she works hard, and she prides herself on how hard she works and how tough she is. Every now and then she gets smacked upside the head with some emotion. It comes out in these waves, and she's like, no.
Of course, the perfect timing.
When you're hanging out with your mom on the podcast, right?
I'd say one of my weaknesses is I do a lot of things and it's really good, but then once I'm faced with like actually talking about it, I feel like a lot of things get piled up and then it's just like a mess of like emotionalness.
Yeah. So she stays busy the whole week. Like this girl packs her schedule. Why do you do that? How come every little moment is packed?
Because I'm uncomfortable if it's not.
Okay, you're uncomfortable? Like you're not doing enough, not achieving enough?
Yeah. It feels wrong to like rest. I know it's okay to rest, but I've been blessed with the skill of efficiency, but then I also get kind of uncomfortable when I'm not efficient. And I also feel like no matter how much I'm working, it feels like I still need to be doing more. And that can be a good and a bad thing. But obviously every once in a while it gets to me and I get overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm. So you have a tight, big schedule. You've got big goals and dreams. So you have a pretty packed schedule. Is that so that you can get somewhere and build towards something? Or like you were saying, is it just mostly because it's uncomfortable to hold still? Like you're missing out on something. Like you're not creating an opportunity for yourself.
I'd say that's more of a side effect. I don't think it's the reasoning because I don't feel like I really struggled with that before I started doing a bunch of stuff. But I'd say, I mean, obviously I'm going to be moving out eventually. I'm turning 18 in April and I need money, and that is a hard thing to earn. And I think it's not even as much about the money, but it's about knowing that I can make money and knowing that I have the ability and being able to work hard. I mean, I've grown such a strong work stamina just from working a lot, and kind of like what we were saying earlier, I've developed a lot of skills that you need. So like if I were to run a business one day, I need to know how to work with people and organize my time and manage what I want to do with my life. And I think those small attributes and skills are so important for the big things, because so many people try to go into these big careers and they don't even have the small skills that even like a teenager can develop. And so I think that is something that I've been able to take the time to work on and learn. And I've learned so many different skills and developed so many things that I think are so important and will help me in my future. And I don't think I would be able to do that. I think a big fear of mine too is also just wasting time while I'm young, because I feel like I see a lot of people who do that where kids are just kind of bopping around, just trying to make it day to day. And honestly, it's interesting because I feel like in a way they're sadder and more unsatisfied, even though it seems like they're doing funner things. I know it's going to seem like after I'm crying, I'm pushing myself too much. And I think to a degree that's true, but also I am very happy at the end of the day. And I do like what I do and I do enjoy, like it's very satisfying to me, and I'm choosing to do it every day. It's not something that I'm fully like forcing myself to do anything. And so I think it does bring me satisfaction and it makes me happy. And it's really a powerful thing to be able to know that you can just go out there and kind of do whatever you want to do. And I think that has been a very motivational and powerful experience alone, just knowing that I can go and work a job and go meet this random person and then they can hire me. And then like less than a year later, I'm managing everybody else. Like that's kind of a crazy thing to be able to just go out there and do things. And so I think that's kind of a big reason why I do what I do, because it makes me happy and I'm learning and I'm setting myself up for success in the future, which I know will also make me happy. And then more of a weakness side effect is me getting a little overwhelmed every once in a while and sometimes avoiding my discomfort. and kind of, because it's hard when you're doing things all day. You go to a job and you have to be almost like this little pushover who's just like super happy, everything's okay, you can be as mean as you want to me and I just have to be okay with it, you know what I mean? And you kind of have to navigate how to deal with people. And so I think it's kind of easy to avoid those things, but it's obviously super important to not, and that's why I really love relationship with people, because I've learned that that's really important, to be able to talk to people and process your emotions. I've also told myself I want to start journaling this year. I haven't been doing super good at that because this is what happens and I get kind of overwhelmed in my emotions. But it would probably get better if I kind of gunked that out a bit.
I mean, if you think about it, sometimes we look at tears and emotion as a negative thing. To me, it's just part of the process.
Yeah.
As someone who is trying to grow and progress, no matter what you're doing, school, entrepreneurship, anything in life, whenever you start to grow and go out into something that's outside of your comfort zone, you're literally shifting your identity. I mean, every day you're realizing, oh, I just got made manager. Oh, I'm taking care of these 2 young children. The most precious thing someone can give you is their, time with their own children. And you're trying to evolve and do all these different things. I'm 17 and, we'll be 18 very shortly. And so it's constantly, I'm re-identifying myself. And I have found that we have versions of ourselves alive every moment. And it takes a good amount of emotional strength, and also some emotional grief will come out of that, of I'm working hard and a part of me is dying in a beautiful way. And a part of me is evolving, and that it hurts. It's uncomfortable. It's overwhelming. Some of those emotions of that experience, if we're too busy, they kind of like get jammed in this, line of things that I need to process. I don't even have time to do it. And then allowing yourself to process that, feel that, pat yourself on the back, let yourself realize like, holy cow, I'm changing, I'm evolving. If you're efficient with your time, a lot of times you're efficient with your growth.
Yeah, which comes with a lot of tears.
Which comes with some tears sometimes, if that's how you process, which is one of mine as well, is you're just trying. And one thing I found with trying is it comes with a lot of benefits, but sometimes trying comes with extra emotion because you're actually really putting an effort and your heart into something. So ironically, I find myself when I'm trying the hardest, a lot of times that's when I'm the most frustrated. And every now and then I need to just be like, wow, like I'm trying so hard and this is going through and this is working okay. And this is like falling apart and I'm so frustrated. Do I have the emotional strength, the mental stability to try again at something that just keeps hitting me? Right.
Can I add something to that?
Yep.
I have a friend who's a runner, and I remember I was talking to her because I work with her, and she was like talking about how her mile time was like 5 something, which is like insane, like very impressive. And I was like in awe, and I was like, wow, that is amazing. That is such a crazy skill that she's able to have. And what she was saying is that she felt like she was so slow and all these things. And it's very interesting because it's something you want to learn and grow in, you're going to feel weaker in because you're paying attention to it. And I've noticed that. And I've always thought that was something that's very interesting. Or same thing if we go to the gym, like I'm going to be like, oh, I'm so weak compared to someone who doesn't even care about that. And they would be like, oh, I'm super strong, because they're not like trying to grow in that area. And so you don't notice kind of what you're lacking until you're doing it.
Mm-hmm. Amen. That weak spot. I remember when you were younger, we went to the dentist, you had a crossbite, right? And they had to put in that whole metal piece in the roof of your mouth. And I think, was it every night we had to take that tool and like the key, and we'd turn it and it would literally expand her jaw, which as a mom was uncomfortable, was a little unsettling. Cause I'm like, what if I'm doing this wrong? And so she'd open her mouth, I'd put the key in there and I'd be like, I think we're okay. So we did that. I think it was a month, and we went back to the dentist, and I was excited to be done with it because it just felt weird. It didn't feel right to be sticking this metal key in my daughter's mouth and like stretching it and causing her some pain. And we would do that. We went back, and I was so ready for them to be like, okay, good job. You stretched it. Let's take it out. And they said something that I thought was interesting and symbolic of life is they said, okay, it's in there. It's where we want it. Now we keep it there for 6 months. And I think that's a lot in how evolving, changing, getting outside your comfort zone is. You have to push into it, and it's painful. And then you have to do stuff every day that feels off and wrong and like it's not really doing anything. And then once you can actually handle or hold that habit or that new ability that you have or that, organization, time management, whatever it is, that emotional strength, you have to hold it for a while before it becomes natural. And then you don't even think about it anymore. It's like, do you think about your crossbite?
No.
It's just there. It was fixed. It was solved, but it was uncomfortable. And so it's kind of how habits work. It's pretty powerful. So along those lines, if we're talking about starting a business, like what still makes you nervous about what you need to do as someone who's going into entrepreneurship or is currently an entrepreneur? And what are some things you've had to do scared?
Everything.
Every single thing.
I think something that scares me with business is just the unknown. A lot of other careers come with certainty of you're getting paid this much at the end of the day. If you work this many hours, you learn this is what you're getting. With business, it's kind of like choose your own adventure. You make what you give, and it's scary not knowing what comes from that. And everybody who starts a business, you can learn and listen to as much amazing podcasts like this one, and they will help a lot for sure. But to a degree, you kind of just have to dive in and learn for yourself, and you're not really going to know what you're doing. And that is kind of scary. That's kind of how I felt like the first time I did a podcast interview was I could prepare and I could learn as much about the person I was interviewing, but it's kind of like once you get on there, you're just kind of winging it. And that was kind of scary, not knowing how that would be. And I'm definitely still working on it. I have not mastered this, if you guys cannot tell. But it's very good. And it's obviously hitting a spot for me that I'm able to emotionally grow from that because it's making me emotional. So that's probably a good thing. But yeah, not knowing what is in front of you sometimes can be very scary.
Mm-hmm. And along those lines, over the years, how much have we talked about basically emotional intelligence, how to deal with things, how to do things unknown, how to be good to people, how to deal with difficult people, how to handle confrontation? Like we've had so many hours and hours of conversations on just processing life. Mm-hmm. How has that helped? Do you think it's important?
100%. I think that's your whole base. I mean, there's like the famous saying, like, does money make you happy? And you can be the best businessman in the world and you could not be in tune with your emotional intelligence, and that will break you. And so I think it's really important to be able to, obviously I'm still learning. I'm not saying this as if I'm a perfect, but I've been able to learn so much from this amazing, wise, beautiful woman. And I've always been super grateful for that. Seeing, especially growing up with people around me, you kind of realize how stupid people are sometimes. And it's kind of a very interesting experience. And being able to have a little bit more knowledge is super, super helpful just when because everyone's going to go through hard things. And it's more about what you make out of those situations and how you face them compared to actually what you're going through, because everyone is going to be going through something. And so having that ability is super, super important.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you think about it, growing up, you've had some very interesting people in your world. It's like in elementary school, you had a really kind of intense class. You had some intense friends, different people at church. She's had a lot of experiences from a young age of intense relationships that just kind of come her way. And it's been pretty amazing to watch her give herself permission to kind of do life in her own way and learn who's healthy for her. She's a fixer. And so sometimes she's attracted to people who want fixing. She's got good energy. So sometimes she attracts people who like depend on that a little too much. So she's had to learn where to give her time, who to give it to, how do I do my life my own way, what fits, what works for me. So how do you decide, like for you, what's worth your time? What do you give your energy to? How do you continue doing what you want to do as a teenager when your peers are such a huge impact on your life?
Yeah. Do you mean like specifically to people?
Anything.
That's a hard thing. I'd say time is like one of the scariest things to me because it feels like there's so much of it, but also so little of it at the same time. And it's hard when you feel like you just want to do everything. I think that's something I struggle with is I kind of just say yes to everything. Like, as in like work wise, like if someone's like, hey, do you want to come babysit? Do you want to come do this birthday party? Do you want to bake a cake for me? And all those are things that I just randomly get offered and I get paid to do, which I'm super grateful for. And I love those things, but it's kind of like I kind of say yes, no matter what. And I don't know. I don't think that's necessarily something that's bad. And I'm grateful for those experiences, and those are fun things that I enjoy and I'm getting paid for it. And I think that's a blessing. But when it comes to people more in a relationship way, it can be a bad thing because I see people who are hurting, and I kind of like what we're talking about. Like, I have the knowledge to be able to help them. I know I have the ability to help them. And so I want to help them. And I've learned that sometimes it can make situations worse. Like, if people rely on you too much, and to a degree, it's like you can be there for someone, but ultimately they have to help themselves. And that's, if they don't want to change, if they don't want to be different, then that's kind of the end of it. And so within the past, I think since I left high school, it's very interesting because you are able to surround yourself with only the people you want to be with. You don't have to go to school every day and say hi to the random James in the corner. You have to pretend like it doesn't annoy you. You know what I mean? Like, stuff like that. And all the people that I choose to spend my time with are people that I'm allowing to be in my life. And so I've learned how to say no to a lot of people, and that can be hard with kids in relationships. So many people are so fake, where they just like pretend like they like everyone, and then they'll go talk crap on them. Mm-hmm. And it's very interesting, and it's hard saying no to people, and hard it's not that you shouldn't be nice to people, but it's hard having boundaries to be able to remove people from your life that you don't want, but you realize how much of an impact it makes. Like, even just with my day today, like when I was trying to graduate and I was studying so much every day, I wasn't hanging out with my friends for a second, and they were kind of demeaning on it. Instead of, I expected them to be like, wow, Britlyn, you're so amazing, you're so studying so
Support
hard.
You.
Yeah. And they'd be like, you literally hate us, you don't want to hang out with us, and they just come and hang out with us just for a little bit. And I thought it was very interesting compared to my friends now. I'll be working and I'll be busy a lot, and they're super supportive of it, and I'm gonna start crying again.
She does have good friends, but she's created that. She's cultivated that. They've created something special together.
Yeah, I'm super grateful for that.
Yeah, that's one of the curses of being someone who is competent and capable. Is you can do things, and you can figure out things, and you're willing to learn. You're willing to go past walls maybe that someone else wouldn't if they were to hit those. And so a lot of people end up depending or asking, or you have to get really good at saying yes to the things that you want to say yes to, and know that the things that don't work for you. And a lot of times that comes with just learning through experience. And so I was listening to this, it was like an Instagram reel, and this guy basically said, be good to everyone, but put people in their right place. Not everyone should have a huge impact on you. And so I think one of the best things that we did was when we traveled for 9 months, you were getting pretty wrapped up in the social, and you were with a fun group, but I wouldn't say it was the healthiest group for you long term. And so we pulled you out of that. And what happened in that process?
I mean, I probably learned so much within just those 9 months about myself. I think that was a really growing time, because you're people, especially kids, just since you're so influenced and you're developing so much, you are changed so much by the people around you. And I know that is such like a cliche term of like the people around you, or like what make you you, but it is so insanely true, because when you're young and you get stripped away from that, you are just like your vulnerable, bare self. You're not influenced with people around you. Like, we would technically meet friends, but we're moving every like 4 days. And so you're forced to be your genuine self because there's no one influencing you, which is very interesting. And I don't think I've ever really experienced that fully until that moment. And I realized so many things that I didn't like with people and things that I did like. And I miss this. And oh my gosh, I totally do not miss this. And so I feel like coming back, I was able to really be like, hey, I know who I am. I know this is what I want for myself. And also just spiritually with religion, I was able to learn a lot too. And I feel like that really helped me know what I want. And I think that was something that was really important and kind of a strong changing moment. And so getting taken away from your environment, I feel like now it's hard to do that when I am back in the same environment. And I feel like I've been able to be a lot stronger with having that experience, knowing the importance of control. And so anybody, you don't have to leave for 9 months to be able to experience that. I just struggled with it a little bit more, so it took something more dramatic, but learn from my failures and just know that you make the people around you, and you can say yes and no to people, and that will be something that surprisingly will really affect your life and your success financially too, because I mean, your emotional state and well-being can be affected a lot by the people around you, and that will also be affected a lot, will affect your job and your career a lot.
Mm-hmm. They say for the stages of human development, when you're young, you know, a child, your authority that you kind of follow is your parents. But as you become a teenager, your authority, the people who you listen to, the people who really influence you are your peers. Mm-hmm. And teenagers can be great, but they are messy, and they can really, there are a lot of things available right now that really pull people into really unhealthy places. So we didn't go traveling to try to pull Brit out of social things. It just kind of happened. We wanted to go do this thing, have this adventure. And we really realized it poked at some of the things that, you know, she was like, wait a second, who am I without my friends? How does this work? What do I do? How do I find joy? She finds a lot of joy in friendship, a lot of energy there. And it was really a good time. So it was interesting when we came back is that she kind of shifted her friend group, created her own thing, and now surrounds herself with people who are supportive. And she still is around a lot of people. She's, you know, has seminary every morning, and she has all kinds of different church activities that she goes to. So she's involved with people, she's leading people, but she's also choosing who's around her. And it's interesting to see, those friendships really shifted and became much healthier than they were before. And so that's a really brave thing to do. I mean, it's a scary, risky thing to do, to jump ship and find people who are healthier for you. So I'm really proud of you for doing that.
Thank you.
Okay, so when did you start seeing yourself as someone who wanted to build something instead of work for other people? Maybe when you started that slime business, or when you're trying to sell me Cheetos, or the restaurant you created in our house?
Oh, yes. I see what you're saying.
So she's always been someone who kind of wants to blaze her own path.
I would go in 5th grade. I remember I had quite the following of boys because I was the fastest in my class, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, I always had the guys, like, lined up, you know? But I would use my amazing, beautiful skills and try to sell them slime. Just kidding. It was mainly the girls. They all loved the slime. But, yeah, slime was really popular when I was in elementary school, and I loved doing it. So I remember I had, like, for Christmas, I asked for, like, I designed my own logo and asked for like little label stickers that I printed, and then like containers and all these tools. And I would just like have a little paper I'd slide in my pocket, and then I'd pull it out, be like during class, be like, hey, you want some slime? And kids are gonna be like, ooh, yeah, slime. And so then I would sell people slime. And even younger than that, I would make my own stores within just our house, and try to get my mom to buy stuff that she bought.
I was all for it, man. It's adorable and it's a good skill. So we were fully supportive of the young entrepreneurship.
But yeah, it's been since I popped out.
So you're studying entrepreneurship outside of school. You're also doing like some online courses and things. Mm-hmm. What are you learning right now that most kids aren't your age?
Well, I think something that people misunderstand is that just because I'm not going to college, I don't value education. And it's not that I don't value education. It's just that for me personally, because everyone's going to be different. Obviously, if you're a doctor, yes, please go to college. That would be amazing. But for me personally and what I want, it's kind of unnecessary. And I'm sure I would learn a lot. And it's still there if I need something just in case. So I'm not dissing on it. But for me, what I want right now, it wouldn't utilize my time and my knowledge the best. And so I'm doing a education course specifically on the things I want to learn, because I feel like that is more worth my time. And so I'm taking a business course, and it's kind of in the same idea of an MBA course. And what I've been kind of learning right now is finding value in something that you're selling, whether it's education, like you guys, physical products, services. A lot of people will sell things and it's just kind of meaningless. And that's honestly something I've been thinking about a lot lately. Right now with flipping couches and stuff, it's like I'm giving people a couch, and that's awesome. And I think for me, it's more of a side hobby. So I'm learning a lot. But I think in the future, when I create something, they say, look at the problem, not the solution, and looking at what are people lacking, what are people struggling with, and then kind of filling that void for people. And it's such a genuine thing, because you're not just trying to make money off of people and use them, but you're actually trying to like help them and be like, this is something that I have noticed and I want to help you with this. And it's kind of like a win-win situation, because obviously you need to make a living. And so getting paid is what helps you continue being able to do that. But I feel like that's something that I have been learning a lot with this course, is finding value in the things that you sell, because when you genuinely love it and you genuinely believe in it, people connect with that and people can feel it. And so that's something that I feel like I really want to focus on in the future, not being greedy with the things you're selling, because a lot of business owners can get kind of caught up in that. And so just genuinely loving what you're offering to the people around you.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And what's interesting about pulling you out of public school is you did realize how much more time you could utilize if you made your own decisions. And then once you had time to make your own decisions, you realize how much you enjoyed learning, because it was really what you wanted to learn for that time.
Exactly.
And then it's more motivating. And then as you find more of an intrinsic motivation, something that really moves you or you find value, that will help you as well. And it is true. Like a lot of times people will start businesses, they might work for someone else and develop a skill, or they might just work any job. But a lot of times with teenagers, one of the best things you can do is to get a job, because it really helps you go to the next level. It's like, how do you run a business if you've never even had a job? It's probably good to get a job, you know?
Yeah. Improvement. You don't want to be stagnant.
Yes. So some of the things we've really prioritized and tried to do with our kids is learning like emotional intelligence. If you don't have the emotions to manage a business, it can really run your battery out. It can cause you to just shut down, get burnt out, and not want to do it at all. And so there's a lot of emotional intelligence that I think is needed in order to get out there and start a business, because you are judging your ability against what you think about yourself and how you navigate, how that feels for you. So emotional intelligence has been huge. We've also wanted our kids to be financially intelligent. And we'll go into how Britlyn's been learning that, because that right there is huge. How to manage your time, organization, how to have a calendar.
Super important.
How to communicate, how to be personable with people, how to be social. Your physical health. Britt loves to go to the gym. We're big gym goers, right? We like to show off our guns every now and then. I'll be like, okay, like,
we're
give
in
it
the
to me,
middle
girl.
of church, and I'm like, hey, Mom, feel my muscles.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, check this out. So we love to go to the gym because, I mean, I do it more because it makes me feel good. And they say people who go to the gym to feel good actually go more than those who go just to look good. But hey, the benefit of looking good, I'm all for
just
it. Just a side benefit. But these are some of the things that we've really tried to prioritize so that, you know, our kids are growing up healthy. It's not perfect. We, don't know. Everybody's different. Each one of our children are different. They're all kind of going on their own different path. And these are some of the things that Britt's doing. So what can you do now because you've learned how to make money that you couldn't do before?
Oh my gosh, so much. It's kind of crazy when you realize money is very powerful, and that can be good and bad, but it's insane. I mean, I work and I can earn money to get gas, and I can drive wherever I want and go work and earn more money and then spend it on whatever I want. It's like kind of a crazy thing when you really think about it. I remember my little brother, he felt so like empowered because he bought a bagel one time. This was when he was younger. And he was like, he earned money. He's like, I can go buy whatever. I can just go and buy a bagel if I want. If I want a bagel, I don't have to ask my mom. I can just go get it. And I remember thinking that was like the funniest thing ever. But being like, that's actually such a true thing, is like, you don't realize how much you can do. And so I think learning how to make money really can shape your life, obviously. And it's a very empowering thing just as a young kid to be able to be like, wow, I get to choose what I want to do with this. Like, my mom isn't telling me she can help me. My mom isn't telling me, hey, go buy these things, don't buy these things, blah, blah, blah. And she can give guidance. But like, ultimately it's like, I can just go do whatever I want.
Mm-hmm. Freedom. Well, it's interesting because Justin and I both grew up and we didn't have a lot of money. There wasn't excess there. It was kind of stressful. And you kind of think, oh, woe is me. My friends have a car. Or, woe is me. I can't do this, or I can't buy that. And you become really good at, pinching a penny. So when Justin and I got together, we were like, we had this dream of having this great house and taking our kids traveling and giving them all these things. And we did that. And then there came a point where we looked at each other and we were like, this isn't working. Giving our kids they haven't like necessarily been spoiled, and we've always said no. And we've always been trying to push them, grow them, develop them. But there came a point where we were like, I don't think this is helping. I think we actually need to have our kids pay for things, and maybe we should put some of that responsibility onto them. And it's really hard because as a parent, you want your kids to be really happy. It's really fun to have young kids and be like, look, here's Santa Claus. Oh, it's your birthday. Want to watch this Disney movie? Want to go on this Disney trip? When they become teenagers, some of that delusion goes away and they realize, oh, there's some hard things out there in the world. There's some people out there who are mean, or there's some emotions I'm feeling that are really uncomfortable, and throwing them out there and being like, I could totally solve this problem for you. I could pay for your gas. I could pay for all your clothes. I could give you everything you want financially. And not doing that has actually been very hard. And so with Brit, we've intentionally been like, oh, okay. Like, you got to buy your own gas. You got to do your stuff. And she has risen to that. It's been uncomfortable. And she's gotten pretty smart. She has all kinds of different things that she's doing financially. So, I mean, you recently hit a milestone of what in your bank? You care if we share?
Oh, yeah. No, I don't care. I hit 10,000 in my bank account. It's like 11 and a half. And then I have money in other places, but just for my like checkings account, which I know for the people who are very educated, I know it's not good to keep that much money in your checking account, but I'm turning 18 soon, and I'm gonna put it into a high yield savings, and I've tried, but it's like super low APY if I do it as a minor, and so I'm like super close. So I've just been waiting, but it was a very happy milestone for me to kind of like see like a big number, and I'm like, wow, I'm a big girl now.
Yeah. She has another 5,000 invested in investment, and then she did a little crypto when she was younger.
Yeah.
But she's learning how to navigate her money. And so as a parent, it was very uncomfortable to put that on her. And now as I realize she's going to move out, I'm actually way more comfortable now knowing that I feel like Britt can go out there and an adult. Like, she literally can take care of children. She pays her bills. She communicates. She's organized. She can hold a job. I mean, she's basically really close to almost adulting. And so as we take this other little step and she goes out there, I feel very confident. And so it's really worked out. What are some of the things you've used to keep track of your money, and what's worked for you?
I could talk about these forever.
She loves this.
This stuff is so fun to me. So this is not sponsored, but there's so many different apps and things you can use. But the thing I use is this app called Milo, and it's just like a free, I think you can pay for like a subscription, but I just use the free version, and it tracks how much I make. It tracks how much I'm spending every month. So I try to do a budget of $600, and it has been the hardest thing ever. It's like, you think like $600 a month, that's so much money I got to spend on things. But no, it's like this.
Most of it goes towards gas.
Month so far, I've spent like $200 in gas. I spend $147 every month for my education class. I spend $40 a month for my gym, and there's so many random things that you realize you kind of like have to buy. Like, I ran out of my face wash, and for a while I tried to not use it, and it did not end well. And I was like, okay, I have to buy face wash. This is important. We need hygiene and things like that. And so it kind of goes away really fast. And so it's very hard mental game, but I think it's been fun because I like a challenge, and I may complain about it, and I may be like, oh, I want to buy this. But ultimately, I think in the long run, having more money will be way more better, because I'm going to look back and be like, that random thing I didn't need. But it's kind of crazy, the tools we have for the younger generation growing up. It will literally tell me every single small penny I spend, and it will organize it for me. And it can tell me, here, invest this here, and put this into an account for just in case if something goes wrong, you have money for like 6 to 8 months of like expenses and like all these things. And it's really cool just being aware of what I'm spending. That alone is crazy, because I didn't realize how much I would spend, because when you're not thinking about it, you don't really think about it, you know?
That's huge.
It's super huge, just being like, oh, okay, this much a month. Wow, I'm spending like $200 on food a month. That's insane. So now this month I spent like $9, which is really, I'm impressed with myself for this month. But
yeah,
you don't
really
realize how much money you spend on things. And so having the resources and tools, really please take advantage of that, because it will help you be so much more aware of just what you're doing. And the same thing this year, a goal was to, because I've done like with eating and healthy, healthy. With healthy, I've done tracking your calories and tracking your protein. And if those are your goals, that's really great. But I've learned that just being aware makes the most influence. And so my goal for this year was to just write down everything I'm eating every day. Not like, the only thing I was trying to mainly cut out was dessert. But I wasn't trying to be like, okay, eat low calorie foods, don't eat this, do this. It was like literally just track what you're eating just so you can be aware of it. And I realized how like I was not eating like 3 good solid meals. It was like, eat a random chip here, do this there. And it was like just super messy. And I was like, okay, that's probably not good for me in this situation. And so just being aware of what you're doing, what you're putting into your body, where you're spending your time, putting your money, that alone is like, you're already halfway there. That's a super, super important thing. So I highly recommend just being aware of yourself and trying to keep track of what you are doing.
Mm-hmm. Amen. It's like it's really interesting because so many people, we're so ruled by our finances, but so few people could pass like a basic financial test. A lot of people aren't tracking what they're spending. There's so many cool apps that like motivate you or reward you for keeping track of things. And so even just watching Brit get that Milo app and how much it's changed her, I'm like telling all my kids, everybody get this app. Like it, just knowing what you're doing is huge. I mean, I have like Oura Ring and Apple Watch trackers.
Oh yeah, it's insane.
You don't want to be obsessive where you're like,
yeah,
anal retentive, but information leads to inspiration. You get smarter when you have information. You're actually watching what's happening. So that's been really huge. So you have some different investments, and are you going to also do S&P 500?
What do you mean? Like
invest there, invest in some stocks?
Yeah. Okay. I get what you're saying. So I've been kind of waiting. I literally have it in my calendar for when I turn 18, all of the things that I want to do. I'm like,
it's like in a month.
Yeah. I'm like counting down the days besides going skydiving. I'm just kidding.
No, legit.
There's a lot of things that, so I see all these videos because your algorithm knows you and they know my weaknesses. And so I keep on seeing all these things, and it's cool because I've been able to learn a lot, which once again, it's awesome that we have the resources to be able to literally look up and learn anything that we want. And so for kids or for parents who have kids, these are super important things. A lot of people say you're supposed to have a high yield savings account because with inflation and everything and just keeping your money in your bank account, if anything, you're losing money. And so finding a high yield savings account is going to be a place where you put your money, but they're giving you money for letting them borrow your money. And you want to usually find, because like right now you're getting under 1% of an APY, which is what the percentage of the money that you're getting back compared to a high yield saving. It could be like 3 or 4%, which does not sound like a lot, but it can do a very big difference. I saw this video of this girl who invested in a
Roth IRA?
Roth IRA.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I want to do once I turn 18. But that's kind of for when I'm forgetting what it's called.
It's like tax-free growth. You can put a certain amount usually.
When you retire, that's the word. Thank you.
When you retire, you can pull it out tax-free.
But this girl, she started doing this when she was like 26. And she did all the math compared to if she would have started at 18. And it was like over $100,000 difference growth she would have had. And so being aware and just learning basic knowledge before you turn 18 to be able to put your money in the right places will make all the difference, because even if you're not touching some of the money that much, you can just leave it there. And for all the years before you retire, it can make like such an insane difference. And so I think it's very important to invest your money because like you were saying with the S&P 500, it can be risky, but you can really make money out of money. It's kind of an interesting thing. You're almost doing nothing in a way.
Get your money to work for you.
Yeah. And then just keeping your money in good, safe, smart checking accounts and investing for retirement. Just like super basic things. Like I'm sure there's so many people who probably know way more than me, but just knowing the basic things. It's also very, like what I was talking about, how not knowing for the future can be scary. It almost relieves a little bit stress off of your plate, knowing that like, okay, I somewhat know what I'm doing and I can do these things. And this makes me feel a little bit more secure in money and having those backup plans and things. So I feel like that's really important if you're scared and you want to know a little bit. You want to feel a little bit more in control.
Yeah, I love that. And it's not like we're offering financial advice. You have to do it exactly like this, but there's so much great information out there. I mean, Kaysen's 15, we just submitted an application yesterday for him to set up a youth account. And Justin and I are kind of part owners in that, as since we're adults, and then he'll start investing in the S&P. S&P 500 is basically a group of some of the most successful companies, and they usually do perform pretty well. And you can look up all kinds of information on that. And so we'll probably have him invest there. And then he also has a job, and then he's going to graduate early, the end of this year as a sophomore. And then
Kaysen's getting the best out of all of us because he's learning what he can do young. Like if I could go back and tell myself, Britlyn, because the reason I'm not in doing the high yield savings account right now is because I'm so close to being 18 that it's kind of not worth it. And I literally signed up for one and I just canceled it because it just wasn't worth it. But if you're younger and you have years, those years can make a difference. And so if I could go back and be like, Britlyn, you can get some extra thousands of dollars if you sign up for this little account that doesn't take that long and it's 2 seconds. So just learn, just going out of your way to just learn and just do a little bit of research and you might earn some extra money.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting because Britt, she's very social, extroverted, just goes. She decides she's going to go. Kaysen's, he's more introverted, more internal, and he is, he has a job right now. He takes care of pets and he dog sits. They sit overnight, they sleep, and he does a great job, communicates with the people. They pay him. He makes good money. And then he's going to be investing, going to graduate early. And then next year he's going to do culinary education because he is a dang good chef. Britt can cook too, I'll tell you what.
Well, Kaysen's like mouth-watering cook. I'm like, I could be a mother. That sounds good.
But Kaysen, man, that guy can cook. He's so creative. And so they have very different personalities, different ways of going about. They both have a lot of wisdom and a lot to offer. And so Britt's path and Kaysen's path, they're going to look a little different. But it's all about in the entrepreneur world and just life in general is, what can I learn? How can I stretch myself? How can I be smart and intelligent? Because all of us have to figure out similar things. How do I take care of my health? How do I pay my bills? How do I have good relationships and stay in relationships? How do I stay spiritually connected? How do I help other people? And so there are things that apply to all of us, but a lot of times the way in which we do them can be pretty unique and kind of fit more what fits you. And so what I love with Britt is we've kind of taken her life and done this custom thing, and we could change things. We could try other things and she'd probably still get to a great place. But I feel like what we've done has been a good path for you. Mm-hmm. So what have you had to give up to start building a life? And I mean, we're right now in a time where kids your age, you graduated a couple of years ago and they're just now getting applications accepted to different colleges and everybody's asking, where are you going, Britt? What are you doing after high school? Like, how does that feel? What have you had to give up and what does that feel like?
I think sometimes if people don't know me very well and they don't know my situation and my lifestyle and I'm just like, yeah, I'm not going to college. Like I see a lot of adults be kind of like, oh, okay.
All right.
Like,
slacker.
They almost seem like a little bit scared for me. And I want to be like, walk them through my day to day and be like, trust me, I will be fine. I'm doing all the things. Mm-hmm. But I'd say almost in a way I'm giving up my ego a little bit because it's almost like a trust the process of like, just wait, I'm going to be so rich in the future and you're going to, this is all, I'm just not even going to try to explain myself right now. But I get a lot of like disapproval looks of like, why would you do that? Dude, she's stupid teenager. She doesn't know what she's doing, which is kind of true to a degree. I can do stupid things and I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm not fully not knowing what I'm doing. And so should I pajama pants?
Like right now, she's got business on top, pajama pants on bottom.
It was cold.
She went to a quality concert last night, and so I think she's still recovering.
Yeah. See, that's another thing. It's important to have fun, kids.
That's one of your motivators. Like if you have work and different things going on, she will place fun things in her life. That's really motivating for her.
On purpose, yeah. If I'm like I'm tired throughout the week, I'm like, it's okay. I'm going to the concert on Friday. It's gonna be fun. This is the thing that I'm earning. Like I'm working and I can go do these fun things. So that's a good motivator. What was your question?
What have you had to give up? Some ego?
Oh, okay. I've had to give up, like what we were talking about, is I love having fun and I love people, and I've had to give up not going and hanging out with people 24/7 because a lot of kids do that, and it kind of makes it's interesting. A lot of ways I feel very ahead and very behind because I feel ahead when I'm hanging out with a bunch of people and I'm like, okay, I worked all day long and I have a lot of money and I'm paying for all my stuff. And these kids are just hanging out, you know what I mean? But then also at the same time, they do have different lifestyles because their goal right now is to go to school and graduate school and then go to college because that's what allows them to go to college. And graduate college and then they make money from there. So it's not like they're doing anything wrong. It's just different lifestyles. And for me, it's almost like I have to do it now compared to them. They just have to do like step by step. And so I feel like that's something that I've kind of had to give up is I still hang out with people all the time. And it's very important to have a social life and have connections with people. But if I could, I would just go play all day long, every day.
She loves it.
I could think of so many fun things I could do right now. But it's important to have a balance of fun and working. And ultimately, I think I'm happier with working because it's very satisfying in us as humans naturally creating things and doing things. And if I'm just bopping around all day, then I'm not actually going to end up being super happy. Another thing I do want to talk about too, with something that I feel like I've risked, going back to what you were saying with when we were younger, buying things. Now I really like buying things for myself, and sometimes it's hard, but there'll be situations where I'm like, if we're doing something like, oh, maybe my mom can buy this for me. And then I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I don't even want her to buy it for me because I don't know. I mean, I know I'm going to be moving out soon, and I feel like it's so much easier to like have a transition of like I'm paying for everything, but I have a roof over my head, and that's super important. And with learning how to adult, but I still have the security instead of just like I'm paying for nothing. Now all of a sudden I'm 18 and I'm moving out and I have to do everything at once. And a lot of kids have to do that. It's like you graduate, okay, bye, good luck. And it's just kind of like this crazy thing. And so I'm grateful for that. But it also, in the sacrificing part, it's hard sometimes because as a kid, you're so used to mooching off your parents and it's just what's natural, you know? And I remember we would have, I remember this one time we went to Hawaii, and obviously I'm so grateful to go to Hawaii. But as a little kid, we were younger and my parents were like, okay, you guys are going to pay for your own trip. And I remember being like, what? And so I have memories of being in the office and like sending texts for my dad for like my business. Cause that's the thing is like, they were setting us up for these experiences. They weren't just like being like, hey, go as a 12-year-old, go try to earn some money because it's hard because you can't find a job. They would be like, hey, if you work and do these things, we'll pay you. So ultimately, they're still the ones doing everything. But it was a really good learning experience as a kid because I was working for what I earned. And then we would go and we'd go out and we'd go and eat. Be like, Kate, you have this much money left. Do you want to spend on this or this? And like just once again being aware of like, oh crap, like this costs a lot and this doesn't, oh this might be the best option. Like learning how to do that and really caring about it and having more of a connection to the money because you had to work for it is really important. And I remember that was like all of the activities I remember so vividly of what we did because I put the work into it, and it ended up being funner and meaning more because it felt more rewarding. And I feel like I've had a lot of trips where I'm like, I don't even remember what I did. I forget. But like that when I was young, and I so vividly remember all of the things because I worked hard to do it. And I think that was a really big learning experience of technically I sacrificed my time and I sacrificed just my parents, doing everything for me. But now it makes me so much happier. And so I'm super grateful for that. And seeing other kids a lot of the times where their parents pay for everything, I'm just like, oh, it's going to hit them hard. Mm-hmm. Like that is not going to be fun for them when they have to somehow learn how to make money and pay for everything at the same time. So I'm very grateful that my parents kind of slowly transitioned us into that and kind of exposed us to the reality at a young age because you were able to learn a lot of skills from that. So I thought that that's made a big impact and that's been very important.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because as a nation, or maybe even, in certain parts of the world, a lot of people growing up, they didn't have a lot of money, but we're in a point right now where there are a lot of affluent people. There's a lot of money out there. People have a lot of things. And I think people thought that having all those things would bring a lot of happiness and joy. And there's a lot of us in this stage of parents who have kids and we're going, oh, how do we navigate this space? And how do we help our kids be successful? And I remember I've done a lot of coaching, working with different people. And I've met with certain people who became young adults and they'd come to me very depressed. And it was very interesting because I would notice over time that some of these kids, not all, but just some of them who had parents who did everything for them, the kids felt very weak. They felt depressed because like when anything got uncomfortable, there's parents would swoop in and like do all the uncomfortable stuff while the kids were off doing whatever, because the parents knew what it was like to be uncomfortable. They didn't want that for their kids. And these people, these adults go out in there in the world, like, I don't know how to do anything. When everything was hard, my parents would just come in and do it. And so they didn't know how to navigate those emotions. They didn't know how to navigate the skill set required to do those things. And then they also didn't have the confidence that came from doing something hard and building on your skill set day in, day out. So that when they went out to adult, it was just like, what do I have? I don't even know what to do. And this is really scary. And so that was also really helpful for us as parents, and with kids being like, you know what, actually, I think it's good to throw them into these situations and to kind of scaffold, put them out there, work them through it, see what they can do, push them uniquely on their own so that they can be successful. So, and also if you're listening to this and you're a teenager, who's going to school and you're playing sports and you're stretching yourself, and I know a lot of kids out there who are going to school are working hard. They're taking like
for sure
AP classes, they're working, they're doing sports, they're doing whatever it is for you. If you feel like you're stretching and growing and learning, great. You don't have to, follow Brit's path. We're just letting you know there's different ways to do life. It's not so much streamlined these days where it's just there's one way, one path. There are other paths that fit different people, and you can do different things, right?
Yeah. That's kind of what I was saying to you earlier about like, I'm working, but it's not necessarily fully for the money, but it's more of just like, I feel like I'm learning. And obviously from not going to school, I want to still be learning and growing. So I'll have people, or I'll have friends who I'll work with sometimes, and they'll be like, oh, you did this all day. And now you're at work. Like you're going straight from your nanny job, and now you're here working here. And I'm like, you just came from school all day, and then you have to go do your sport after. Like, do not demean yourself in any way. Like, you're pushing yourself still. It's in different ways, and you're technically not earning money from it, which may seem like not as rewarding, but it pays off. Just kids will work so hard in going to school, and sports are super important, and you learn so much, and you're pushing yourself like physically and emotionally. And so, yeah, if you're younger and you're like, oh no, I can't get a job, or I can't do this, like you can push yourself in so many ways and still grow from so many things. And so do not demean yourself from that.
That's right. Be good to yourself. Talk to yourself. I mean, honestly, it's really important the way you communicate with yourself. Like, give yourself some mercy, push yourself, but also be like, okay, we tried this. It didn't work. Continue to like stretch in that way. It takes a strong mind to do something different, to change, to, hop out of social circles, to go on a different path, or to do things that are good for you, even healthy for you. That's challenging right there. So let's just end with a couple of different things. We talked about a lot of the things that you're good with. Do you have to be really good at everything? Do you have to be perfect? Like, do you have any weaknesses that you want to share that let people know, like, hey, that I'm just a normal girl trying to do things?
I think that after listening to this, they will probably know. We've been very transparent with this interview. Just kidding.
Yep, just normal people trying to do good things and live a good life. So with our last question, then we'll end it off. For teenagers out there, or parents of teenagers, why do you believe teenagers can win financially today more than ever before?
Okay, kind of going back, I feel like I've mentioned this a tiny bit, but I feel like we live in like an information generation of, you can go on your phone, you can go on your computer and learn anything. It's kind of insane. You can
access AI.
I was going to say the mom that I nanny for, she had a plant that was dying in her backyard. She took a photo for AI and said, hey, what's wrong with this plant? How can I fix it? It literally sent like a schedule list, water it this, do this. If it does this, go this way instead. If it does this, go this way. It's like, it's insane how personalized your questions can be, because before you'd have to, even just researching things online, you'd have to research it, figure it out, learn a lot about the plant, then figure out what type is this plant, what even is this, what's happening, like all these things, compared to I could send AI my day-to-day list and say, this is what I want to be gaining at the end of the day. This is my time. And then like it can tell me exactly what to do. And it's kind of insane how much information is out there. There are so many videos, podcasts, like just this one business alone, you can learn so much from. And so it's insane having like unlimited resources of education and learning. And so I think that with a combination of being motivated and believing in yourself and having education, that is what makes you successful, because you can go out and take action on those things. And obviously, if you don't do anything with your education and you're only learning, then that's not going to get you anywhere. But having the education is what can really help you be successful. And so I feel like kids these days, it's just kind of something we grew up with that's normal, but like really being able to take advantage and utilize our ability of learning it's kind of like a crazy thing.
Mm-hmm. And I would say there's a good chunk of teenagers right now who are having to kind of navigate some hard emotions, depression, anxiety, and they're going, I hear this girl talking about this, I'm not feeling very motivated. Or what advice would you give to someone who's like, I want these things, I want to want them, but I'm having a hard time just doing the basics?
Like you mean
like you are motivated, you want to do these things, you wake up and you're like, okay, let's go. What if someone's not experiencing that? What if they're having a hard time
like
with
a lack of motivation?
Yeah, they want it, but it's just hard to get to.
Yeah, I'd say so. There's like a bigger answer and a smaller answer, because the smaller, more specific things, like what we were saying, like lining yourself up with fun things to do and rewards, like going to a concert or whatever, those things I feel like in my day to day can help me be motivated, but ultimately for your whole life, it's going to be deeper than that. And I think that can be a hard question, because it's almost in a way like because a lot of motivation comes from also like your happiness. And that's like, how do you be happy? Well, there's a lot of things you can say from that. But for me, I'd say my main source of motivation, first off, is what we were talking about, being aware. So like I have the realism of the world. And I think that is something that almost, you don't want to use fear as a motivation, but almost having that fear, I'm like, oh crap, like I gotta lock in, you know what I mean? And second, knowing what I want for my future, I want to have a family that I can support and be happy. And I don't want to be out working all day, every day, and then just seeing my kids a little bit at the end of the day. And I want to be able to have the flexibility and the freedom of like, oh, I want to go on this vacation. I want to go travel. I want to go see the world. I want to stay home today and just spend time with my kids. I want to go take my daughter to get her nails done. I don't know, like something fun. Don't spoil them too much. Remember, we talked about this, but just fun bonding things. And I think money a lot of the time can tie you up in a way where you do not have the freedom to do a lot of the things you want. And so I think that's something that I'm motivated by, is being able to see my parents and see how they can literally be like, you know what, I feel like going to Disneyland today. And then they get up and they go to Disneyland. And it's like the most like liberating thing ever, being like, wow, okay, they can just go to Disneyland, and they still work and they're still growing and pushing themselves and not going to Disneyland every day. But when they feel like they need a break and they feel like they've earned something, they have the freedom to go and do that. And so I think that's something that's been really motivating for me, is witnessing that and wanting the same thing and wanting to be able to have the freedom when I'm older. And so I feel like that's something that's really motivating for me. I've always been someone who kind of wants to be able to accomplish what I want. And I know a lot of people obviously want what they want, but I think really knowing what you're doing it for and waking up every day with like, I'd say people who wake up every day with this, just the same old, it gets boring and it gets unmotivating, but having goals and having something that you're looking forward to is super important. And you go back to just like our general like anatomy and how do you say it? Physiology. We want to be gaining things. It's very interesting. It's almost like a kid, like, or even a dog, like how you're rewarding them for treats. And we want to work for what we have. Like when you're given things, it's not as satisfying. You're not going to be happy from it. And so I feel like you naturally, if you have goals, you're going to be motivated as long as you like care enough to, I don't know, to accomplish that thing. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that makes sense, but.
Yep. I love it. And some basic things too, for those who are like, I want to do these things too, or I want to do something in my life. I want to stretch myself. You can really go back to the basics to really find more joy in your life. Mm-hmm. Sleep is huge. Mm-hmm. A lot of teenagers with their phones and social media end up sleeping crazy hours, but sleep is huge. Set yourself a time you go to bed each night and a time you wake up, and try to stay pretty regular on that. Move your body.
Yeah.
We are big believers in exercise, a lot of it for the physical, but also emotional. I mean, sometimes if I wake up and I feel funky, I start moving my body and those emotions start moving, and it takes a big load off. So getting good sleep, exercising, what you put into your body, the food, what are you fueling yourself in the right way? Learning emotional intelligence. If you're feeling, negative emotions, anxiety, depression, lean into that. It's very unnatural to lean into it, but get curious. What's going on here? Who do I have to talk to? Do I have good people? Therapists are amazing. There's so many amazing programs and books available, and those can be life-altering. And if I ever have things I struggle with, if we hit our weaknesses, a lot of times when you go into a weak area, you want to just get it done as soon as possible, and you want to get back to where you were. But if you lean into a weakness and you overcome it, you never go back to where you were. You always leapfrog it. There is such massive growth that comes from leaning into weakness and really like navigating the weak parts of ourselves and strengthening those. That really has a huge impact. It kind of flavors the rest of our life, depending on how we work through that. And so learning how to work through emotions, having good relationships, being social. They're finding that a lot of people are spending more time away from people on their phones and technology, AI and different things. And we're big believers in all of these, but get time every single day to be social, talk to human beings, get out there. And then self-education. Like, we have done different things with education with all of our kids, with our own education. We are huge proponents of education. I love to learn, but it is a muscle that you have to develop. It's kind of like working out at the gym. I was talking to Kason about this yesterday and trying to help him read certain books with some of the areas he's struggling with. And he's like, I just don't feel like it does anything. Like, I'm not getting anywhere. I'm like, you have not fallen in love with learning. Because when we all, first introduced the gym to him, he didn't want to go to the gym. He fought it, and now he loves it. And I was like, it's crazy, the same CrossFit thing. Babe. Yeah, he's a CrossFit dude. And so with learning, like, yeah, you're going to push away the books. You're not going to want to learn. At first, you're going to be like, the brain's going to be like, I don't want to do that. But man, if you can fall in love with learning, you can really tackle anything. Mm-hmm. And so really lean into the things that are hard for you and weak for you. Find people to talk to, work through things, and then get out there, because there, if you watch the news or different things, like, people are painting really negative pictures. Hard things are happening out there, but that doesn't have to be your world. You can really create your own little space. Just like Brit's talked about, hopping out of things, going into things that are healthy for her, pushing yourself in all these different ways. Try to find balance, realizing that sometimes it's uncomfortable to hold still. How do I do all this, but also relax and breathe? How do I, find happiness in my life? And so, Brit, we appreciate you being on here.
Thank you.
You're amazing. I'm proud of her. I adore her. Obviously, she's my daughter. She's way more confident than I was at the age of 17. And as a mother, I really wanted that to be important in our relationship and in her growth. Is I didn't want her to have some of the insecurities that I've had and some of the fears, some of the inhibitions. And she's really pretty incredible. I'm really proud of her. And she's very kind and, empathic, and we have great conversations. She also gives me great tips on hair, because we are both blessed with curly hair.
Oh, yeah.
And fashion. So she's my fashion diva.
Oh, yeah.
And my really good friend. So thanks, Britt, for coming on. We'll be hearing more from her as she continues to do interviews and grows and progresses. You guys will see her growth on the podcast. So thanks, Britt.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Woo.